Once upon a time, there was a miller, and he wanted to impress the king. So he told the king, "Oh, believe me, I have this daughter, and she can spin straw into gold." The king said, "Well, that sounds very interesting. Why don't you bring her to the castle, and I will put her to the test?" And so she was brought to the castle, and the king brought her into a room that was full of straw. And he told her, "If you don't turn all this straw into gold by morning, you will die." And when he left, she started crying and crying. And then a funny little man appeared, and he said, "Oh, miller's daughter, what's the matter?" And she told him, "Oh, I'm supposed to turn all this straw into gold, but I have no idea how to do that." And he said, "Well, what will you give me if I do it for you?" And so she took off her necklace and gave it to him. And so he sat down at the spinning wheel and started the straw spinning. And little by little, he filled the room with gold. Now, when the king came in the morning, he was so happy to see all this gold. He was a greedy man. And so he took the miller's daughter into another room that was even bigger and full of straw. And he told her, "Well, if you don't spin all this gold by morning, you will die." And so he left, and just like before, she started crying and crying. And the funny little man appeared, and he said, "Well, what will you give me?" And so she gave him her ring. And he sat down at the spinning wheel, and he spun that straw into gold. And when the king came in that morning, he was even happier. Oh, so much gold. And so he took her into another room, and this one was like a big warehouse, just stuffed full of hay and straw. And he told her, "If you can turn all this into gold, you will be my wife." For he thought to himself, even though she was just a poor miller's daughter, he wouldn't find anyone richer in the whole world. Well, when he left, she started crying and crying, and the funny little man appeared, and he said, "What will you give me this time?" And she thought, "Oh, I gave you my necklace, I gave you my ring, oh, I don't have anything." And so he said, "Well, give me your first child." And she thought, "Well, I don't have a child yet, and who knows what's going to happen in the future." So she agreed, and he sat down at the spinning wheel, and he spun and spun, and eventually in the night he had filled this whole warehouse with gold. And when the king came in, oh, he was overjoyed, and he made her his wife, and they were very happy, and they even had a child, and they were a happy family, and she forgot all about the funny little man. But then, one night he appeared to her, and he said, "Give me your child!" And she was so shocked and frightened. Oh, she said, "Oh, please, I'll give you all the riches in the kingdom. Just let me keep my child." And he said, "Oh, something living means more to me than all the treasures of the world." And so she just started crying and crying. How could she give up her child? And so the funny little man took pity on her, and he said, "Well, if you can tell me my name within 3 days, you can keep your child." And so when he left, she thought all night long about all the names she knew, and she sent out a messenger to go around and gather up all the names he could. And the next day, when the little man appeared, she went over all the names. And to every name he said, "That's not my name." And so she started to get really worried. And so the next night she sent out her messenger to get all the strange names of servants and slaves and foreigners and just any old weird names he could find. And so the next day, when the funny little man appeared, she went over these more unusual names. Is your name roast ribs or sheep shanks or toe cutter? And to every name, he replied just the same. No, that's not my name. Oh, the queen, she was getting really worried. And so she sent out her messenger again to try to find any names that they had missed. And when the messenger came back, he said, oh, Queen, I've got this strange story. I was out in the forest, and there was a big bonfire. And there was this strange little man just dancing around and singing. And he was singing, today I bake, tomorrow I brew, and the next day the queen's child comes in. Aren't I glad that nobody knew? My name is Rumpelstiltskin. Oh, the queen was so relieved. And so the next day, when the funny little man appeared, she talked to him and she said, oh, is your name Johnny? And he said, no, that's not my name. Is your name Harry? No, that's not my name. Is your name Rumpelstiltskin? Oh, he was fuming mad. The devil told you! The devil told you! Oh, and he stamped his foot, and in a puff of smoke he disappeared. And no one ever saw him again. And everyone else lived happily ever